Y'all get up, man. Hey, man, he needs no introduction if you watch ESPN or whatever. He's all over the channel, man. One of our favorite beloved sports analysts of all time, the one and only, and my frat brother, member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Stephen A. Smith.
In the building.
What's up, man? Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing?
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, big dog.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, big dog. What's going on, man?
Man, we happy to have you, man. Everybody know you. You know, I ain't have to read the whole long intro, man. Famed journalist, featured commentator, host of ESPN First Take, and the host of No Mercy. So, Stephen A. Smith, we happy to have you, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So much to talk about, but you know I got to first get your thoughts on what happened. The TCU doing a national championship against Georgia because you actually predicted them to win.
Yeah. Well, listen. Well, first of all, let's get that out the way. That might have been the worst prediction I've ever made in my career. Let's get that.
I'm glad you're a man about it. I'm glad you're a man about it.
Let's get that. Well, the thing about it is that we all went into the game believing that Georgia was the better team. We know that this superior team. We know it's the SEC. We know all of that. My whole point was, let me go the Cinderella route for a change. If they drop 51 on Michigan, who had a better run defense than anybody else, these are college kids. They in L.A. Maybe a couple of people will hang out late or something. Who knows what the hell will happen? Let me go against the grain. I don't know why the hell I decided to do that.
Right.
But TCU was so bad. TCU was so bad, I don't think the players will show up for the rest of the semester. I think faculty members will give them a license to be away for the rest of the semester. Wow. And I got to tell you something. I think ESPN deserves its money back. And the College Football Committee, let's stop playing games. Luckily, we move it to the 12-team playoff system in a couple of years. That way we can see these cats get knocked off, and we can get a national championship game worthy of witnessing.
Right.
Man, right. So we all know, Stephen A., the country stopped last weekend when Demar Hamlin took that hit and fell to the ground. What are your thoughts about how the NFL handled the situation and also the insensitive tweet, I got to ask you, by Skip Bayless?
Well, first of all, number one, I think that when you look at the National Football League, usually they criticize, and a lot of times they deserve it. This wasn't one of those times. They couldn't have handled it more perfectly. They worked in concert with the Players Association to make sure that they had emergency procedures in place. They had medical professionals from both teams collaborated with one another, along with medical professionals that were independent. And as a result of that, this is what I've been saying over the last week and a half. If Damar Hamlin was any place else other than a football field or a hospital, he would be dead. Everybody knows that. They had to do CPR twice. They had to bring him back to life twice, y'all. It was that bad. He had blood coming out of his nose and his mouth. I mean, this is what the players were seeing on the football field, which is why you saw all of them crying and everything like that, because they were witnessing what happened. And so because of that, the NFL and the Players Association deserve to be commended for that. As it pertains to Skip Bayless, that's my man. We all know that. But he was wrong. And I would have told him that to his face if he was sitting across from me, and I'll tell him that to his face if I see him in the near future. He shouldn't have done that. It wasn't what he said, because he was talking about football and the history of football and how they had never canceled a game before. There was a guy by the name of Charles Hughes in 1971 that literally collapsed in front of Dick Butkus on the football field and was pronounced dead at the hospital. So he died on the football field. It happened once before in 1971, but no game had ever been canceled because of it. And so that's what Skip was alluding to. The problem is the timing was so bad, because while that's going on, while everybody is on the field, while Damar Hamlin is laying on the turf and fighting for his life, nobody's thinking about the game at that particular moment in time.
Right.
And so when you send out a tweet like that, that was the insensitive part that really roiled and riled up the NFL community. And I can't blame them for feeling that way. I don't think Skip meant for it to happen. I know for a fact that he cares about the kid's life, for crying out loud. He didn't want him to die. But in the same breath, you got to be mindful of when you say things, not just what you say. And I think that that's where he made his mistake with that tweet.
Right. Now, I know you recently have been real critical of the firing of Lovie Smith from the Texans after just 1 year, right? So, what's up with that? Does it seem, to feed the perception that black coaches are being held to a different standard than their Caucasian coaching peers?
Well, black coaches are always held to a different standard. It's a challenge to accept the fact that we can be leaders of men, too. The NFL has long had a history, an historical problem with that. College football has had a problem with that as well, even more so. We all know this. But in the case of the Houston Texans, that's a special case. The Houston Texans, I literally went on national television the other day and say, if you're African-American, if you're a black man, you need not apply to the Houston Texans. That's not a job you want. They brought in David Culley the year before. They fired him after 1 year. Before they hired Lovie Smith, remember how the whole Lovie Smith hiring came about, y'all? They were interested in former 12-year NFL quarterback Josh McCown. Josh McCown was a backup or perennial backup quarterback in the National Football League. Y'all, he had never coached in college or the pros on any level. And the Houston Texans, he was a volunteer assistant coach at a high school.
Right.
And the Houston Texans wanted to hire him. But Josh McCown himself said, fellas, there are people far more qualified than me to be a head coach in the National Football League.
That's crazy.
It created, once we got wind of it, is what led to them going away from him and hiring Lovie Smith, which means they didn't want to hire Lovie Smith to begin with.
We're talking to Stephen A. Smith right now, and from one sports genius to another, Stephen. Football playoffs, NFL playoffs kick off this weekend. We got the wild card round. We already know how you feel about the Dallas Cowboys, but I'm going to have to agree with you, man. I think the Cowboys may get monkey stomped this weekend by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. What are your thoughts on that? And who's your Super Bowl prediction?
Well, in all seriousness, bro, that shouldn't happen. Cowboys are significantly better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year.
I agree with that.
The problem is that pressure breaks pipes. And when the pressure mounts, the Cowboys don't usually respond. You see, when there's no pressure on them, when they're expected to lose is when they show up and handle their business. When you put expectations on their shoulders, they will beneath the pressure, which is what I love to see. So if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win this game with Tom Brady, with Leonard Fournette, with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin, and all of these brothers, they got to bring their A game because they haven't all year long. They've got to do that, and they got to hope and pray that the Dallas Cowboys do not, which is entirely possible. All right? The Dallas Cowboys should win this game. They are the better team. They are far superior to Tampa Bay this year, and Tom Brady is a stationary target for the likes of Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and the rest of that crew. But the bottom line is that Dallas usually finds a way to mess it up. They will. I just don't know whether it's going to be this week or next week.
So you didn't – come on, man. Give me your prediction. You said should. We don't use words like should.
I'm picking Tampa Bay to win this game because I can't stand Dallas. Not because of my football analysis would tell you is Dallas, but I refuse to pick them.
Stephen A., you know we on the radio in Dallas. Come on now.
I mean what I say, bro. They know me. They know me. They know where I'm coming from. They know I can't stand their asses. They know that.
So you just gonna say that?
Dallas Cowboy fans, these damn Dallas Cowboy fans. Do you have any idea what my life would be like if Dallas actually won? If Dallas were to win a Super Bowl, do you have any idea the level of misery I would be subjected to? How about them Cowboys in every crevice of this damn country? That's all I would hear.
What?
It's sickening, man. It's sickening.
Dog team, what made you hate the Cowboys so bad? What made you hate the Cowboys? What happened?
Man, listen, man, it don't matter what they do. They can go 1-15. Their season can end on January 7th at 7 o'clock. By 7:15, those fans are gonna be like, we're gonna win the Super Bowl next year, right? They never stop, man. It's like they are the champions of the back pages. They are the champions of the headlines. To me, they're the champions of the greatest story that I've ever heard in the history of sports. You remember when one of their boys, I won't mention his name, Remember when one of their boys, a Dallas Cowboy player, literally got arrested because after practice, he went to a department store and got caught stealing cologne and a pair of drawers. That is the all-time funniest. I swear to you, man. That happened in like 2015, and I still laugh. That is my all-time favorite story. I mean, think about it. What were you doing? What were you doing that you had to steal cologne and a pair of drawers? Now, let's tell on it. Yo, fellas, chill.
Yeah.
Let's tell on each other. Let's tell on the fellas for 1 second.
Oh, man.
Ladies, if a brother in the middle of the afternoon after a practice is stealing cologne and a pair of drawers, it's because he made a stop.
Oh, yeah.
He made a stop. He did something, and he ain't had time to take a shower. That's the only reason.
He didn't have no.
He's stealing cologne and a pair of drawers. That's the only reason.
Man, you got me up here crying.
What would make it worse is the brother making a good living. He could have just paid for it.
Not a pair of drawers, y'all. Not a pair of drawers.
Stephen A.
If he stole a cologne, that'd have been bad enough. He stole cologne and a pair of drawers.
Stephen A., what kind of cologne you think it was? Did you find out what kind of cologne?
I had no idea. I've still been looking for it. I've still been looking. But you got to remember, Q, it don't matter because he's trying to smell familiar to who wait for him at home. So whatever he was wearing normally, that's what the hell he went to buy.
Oh, man.
But he stole it.
Hey, man,
He got caught.
we gotta let you go, dog.
No, man, listen. Your new memoir, Straight Shooter, is out. In here, you talk about your highs and lows. What would you say is one of your biggest lows that you had to get past? And tell everybody, how can they get your book?
Well, you could go to get my book. You can go to straightshooterbook.com and order it on pre-sale. You can go to Target, Walmart, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and all of these other places because the book is on shelves this coming Tuesday. And it's my memoir, The Highs and Lows from the time I was a kid to now, and all the controversies that I have been involved with, particularly at ESPN, is all in there. All the details, stuff that I never said, and all of this other stuff is all in there. And my lowest point, honestly speaking, in my career was when I got fired, because when I got fired and let go by ESPN, I had just had my daughter.
Oh, wow.
And so as a black man wondering, whether or not how you going to pay your bills and whether or not you're going to be able to resurrect your career and all of that stuff, that fear was real. It was very real for me, but through the grace of God, I overcame it.
Man, Q Dog, always good to have you on the show, man. You got to come on the show more.
Appreciate
Steve, we really appreciate
Anytime,
you, man.
Yes, anytime.
Yes, sir,
Anytime.
man.
Especially since your audience is in Dallas. I love it. They ain't the only place, but I know that's one of those places.
Yes, sir.
That's right. Y'all got a former player that got arrested for stealing cologne and a pair of drawers. So, my all-time favorite story.
Stop it,
all
dog.
time.
Oh, man, go home, dog.
All
Man,
time.
you killing us.
A pair of drawers.
Steve, they outside of the station protesting right now. They outside.
Fruit of the Loom. Hanes. I don't know what the hell it was. Under Armour. I don't know. I just know it was a pair of drawers.
As long as it wasn't Tiny White.
I just know it was a pair of drawers.
Hey, they outside the station. They got T-shirts on that said "Cowboys Lives Matter." Hey, we can't have you coming on a radio show talking about the Dallas Cowboys like that. That's so disrespectful.
And I heard the cologne was Creed. I heard the cologne was Creed.